Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Representatives Baum, Camper, Cochran, Faison, Garrett, Hawk, Hazelwood.
Here.
Representative Hicks.
Here.
Love, Moon,
Here.
Shaw,
Here.
Whitson,
Here.
Williams. Chairman Hicks.
Here.
Chairman, we have a quorum.
All right. Thank you very much. I'd like to call the Finance and Ways and Means Subcommittee to order for February the 7th. Members, are there any announcements or personal orders before we begin? And we will begin with Chairman Hawk.
Thank you, Chairman Hicks. We all are feeling an incredible sense of safety as we're in the room this morning. And I want to thank our chiefs of police from all across the state of Tennessee, from end to end, who have decided to come and share their thoughts with us today. So if we could make all of our chiefs of police from across Tennessee welcome today. Thank you all.
I'm going to go even a little bit further. We're going to clap again as soon as you all stand up so we can see all of you. Stand up or we can recognize you. Thank you all very much for being here. Representative Shaw, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And since my picture's on the post office wall, I might have not talked this morning, but I want you all, the committee, to help me welcome the Dyer County Adult Leadership Team that's here with us this morning. And I think they're all on the back wall. So if we could make them welcome to People's House, appreciate that.
Thank you all for being here as well. Any other personal orders this morning? All right, seeing none, we have 7 bills on our calendar with 1 bill on the addendum. Item number 1 is going to be House Bill 1641 by Leader Lamberth, and I think he's presenting in another committee. So without objection, we will roll this to the Hill. Without objection, so moved. Number 2 is going to be House Bill 1643, also by Leader Lamberth. Again, he's presenting, so we will without objection roll this to the Hill. Without objection, so moved. That gets us to item number 3. Item number 3 on our calendar is going to be House Bill 2109 by Chairman Boyd. Chairman Boyd, you're recognized. You have a motion and a second. You're recognized for a brief description, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee, this is a pretty straightforward bill. It simply adds hydrogen to the list of alternative fuels in Tennessee statute. It puts it in line with compressed natural gas. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Sponsor, for this piece of legislation. Members, any discussion? Hearing none and seeing none, there is a cost associated with House Bill 2109, so we will have to place it behind the budget and consider it at a later date. So without objection, House Bill 2109 is behind the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee.
All right, that brings us to item number 4. Item number 4 on our calendar is going to be House Bill 1629 by Chairman Sapicki, and I do not see him. I'm sure he's in another committee and he'll be heading this way soon. So without objection, we will roll House Bill 1629 to the Hill. So moved. That brings us to item number 5. Item number 5 on our calendar is going to be House Bill 0701, and that's by Chairman Doggett. Here he comes. I didn't see you. Sorry about that. All right, House Bill 701. We have a motion second. We have a motion and a second. Sir, you're recognized for a brief description.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have an amendment here, code 13381.
You have a motion and a second on the amendment. Let's get this amendment onto the bill, and then we'll let you have it for a description. So in discussion on the amendment, hearing none, seeing none, we're now voting on amendment drafting code 013381 onto House Bill 701. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We're back on the bill as amended. Sir, you're recognized.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment rewrites the bill, and what it does, it adds continuous sexual abuse of a child to the list of offenses that require the defendant to be put on community supervision for life.
All right. Thank you very much for this piece of legislation. Members, you've heard the description. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, we're now voting on House Bill 701, moving on to full finance. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 701 moves on to full finance. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And while I'm here, if you've got any more of my bills that are behind the budget you want to move to full finance, we can go ahead and take care of that.
We will
Study.
take a look and get back to you.
Hey, thank y'all so
All right,
much.
thank you very much. All right, that brings us to item number 6. Item number 6 on our calendar is House Bill 1681 by Representative Stevens. You have a motion and a second. Sir, you're recognized for a brief description.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an administration bill brought by the Department of Human Services. The bill eliminates the State Advisory Board for Community-Based Vocational Rehabilitation Services. This board is duplicative of the work being done by the gubernatorially appointed State Rehabilitation Council. The elimination of this board will provide a clarity to both the rehabilitation customers and stakeholders, and the legislation will save state funds currently used to cover the administrative costs.
All right, thank you very much. Members, you've heard the description of House Bill 1681. Any discussion? Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Did you say eliminate the board?
Representative Stevens.
Yes.
Can you tell me why they are eliminating it?
Representative Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is a state board that's appointed by the governor but does the same thing. And
Okay.
this is appointed by the commissioner. So instead of having the board appointed by the commissioner, it does the same thing. The local boards will report directly to the one appointed by the governor.
Thank you for that explanation. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Leader Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was my question.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion on House Bill 1681? Hearing none and seeing none, we're now voting on House Bill 1681, moving on to full finance. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1681 moves to full finance.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
sir. All right, that brings us to item number 7. Item number 7 on our calendars, House Bill 1187 by Representative Garrett. Do you have a motion second on the bill? You have a motion to second. Sir, you are recognized on House Bill 1187. And just to get this in the proper posture so that the committee does know, the amendment 006663 was previously considered and adopted by the subcommittee. And so it has already been applied. So that's the current posture. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And committee, this bill I did run last session. It did get placed behind the budget and what it is. It's our shared revenue bill for our cities back 20 years ago when we increased the sales tax from 6% to 7%. That 1% difference was never shared back to the cities. And this would create some money back to our locals. And so this is what this bill does. And so it's simply, I put it on notice as it was behind last year's budget. So this will be putting it behind this year's budget so we can hopefully fight for more money for our locals. So that's the purpose of this bill, putting on notice to go behind, as I believe where it's going to go, behind the budget for this year. So that's an explanation of the bill. Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Representative Garrett. You almost stole my thunder. All right, members, you've heard the description of House Bill 1187. Any discussion on House Bill 1187? Seeing none, as the sponsor has already alluded to, it does have a fiscal impact to the state, so we will have to place it behind the budget and consider it at a later date. So without objection, House Bill 1187 goes behind the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Let me just clear that up. Also, since this bill has been calendared 3 times, we will also place it on a special calendar. It will be published with our final calendar pursuant to our House rules. So let me go back and just say that House Bill 1187, without objection, will go on the special calendar to be published with the final calendar. Without objection, so moved. All right, thank you very much. All right, members, we have 2 members that need to come and present. I know they're finishing up in committee, so without objection, we're going to take a 5-minute recess and we'll pick right back up with these 3 sponsors. So without objection, we stand in recess. Right. Yeah, we got it. Representative Stevens, he was All right, I'll call us back to order. And we're going to start back on item number 1 on our calendar. Item number 1 is House Bill 1641 by Leader Lamberth. You have a motion and a second. Sir, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I apologize. I was over in state government at the same time, and Chairman Keesling was doing an excellent job of the this day in history and bringing folks into the state government committee, and it took longer than I anticipated. So my apologies to this committee. So on this particular bill, it is an A misdemeanor for someone to violate bond conditions. Currently, that's just a contempt of court, or they get folks back into court weeks or months later that have violated their bond conditions ordered by a judge. Mr. Chairman, I realize that this has another fiscal impact, but with our law enforcement presence today, and thank all of you ladies and gentlemen for the work you do to keep us safe, this is a tool that is critical for them to be able to get folks back into court quickly with the new misdemeanor who have violated bond conditions. So, Mr. Chairman, with that, I stand at the will of the committee, but I have a feeling I know where I'm headed.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Leader. Members, you've heard the description of House Bill 1641. Any discussion? Hearing none and seeing none, as the sponsor has alluded to, there is other fiscal impact of the state. So we will have to place it behind the budget and reconsider it at a later date. So without objection, House Bill 1641 will go behind the budget. Brings us to item number 2. Item number 2 on our calendar is House Bill 1643, also by Leader Lamberth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In this bill, we actually passed in the special session. Unfortunately, though, the chamber did not join us in that. Oh,
You got a motion second. Please continue, sir, the brief description.
yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. And unfortunately, the other chamber did not join us in that. I hope and pray that they will this year. This is a wrong that has really been out there for 15 to 20 years now. I remember when I was a young assistant district attorney, if we had someone that come into court that had severe mental health issues, then literally we had somebody come down to a mental health evaluation. The state paid for it. And if necessary, they went off for an inpatient evaluation. Try to figure out really what's going on with someone so that you intercede in their life so that they don't come back in the criminal justice system and hurt themselves or others. The fiscal note on this is about $3.3 million. In a $52.6 billion budget, I think it's a bargain at twice the price. So I hope this is something we will fund later. But Mr. Chairman, I do understand it has a fiscal note on it.
All right. Thank you very much, Leader Lamberth. Members, you've heard the description of House Bill 1643. Any discussion? Leader Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Leader, for bringing the bill. We have some mental health professionals here, and I can see them in the audience doing the head up and down. So this is something that's very much needed. I hope that we could find some money in the budget, to fund this bill. Representative Love basically nudged me and said, that's really not a lot of money. And it's really not in this big scheme of things. So maybe we can consider it, Mr. Chairman, as we move forward. Thank you for the bill. Thank you, Leader.
All right. Thank you, Leader Camper. Mr. Sponsor, would you like to respond to that?
Love to have a sign-on sheet for anybody that loves this bill. It's House Bill 1643. We'd love to have your support. And to Representative Love, General Funk has been extremely supportive of this because in Nashville specifically, there's a couple hundred folks a year that don't get evaluated that really should. He has been trying to pursue local grant funding for that unsuccessfully, but it really is a state responsibility. It's the state of Tennessee versus these folks. We already pay for felony offenses to have an evaluation. Misdemeanor should be included.
All right. Thank you. Further discussion. Again, we're on House Bill 1643. All right. Hearing none and seeing none, House Bill 1643 does have a cost associated with it, so we will have to place it behind the budget and reconsider it at a later date. So without objection, House Bill 1643 will be placed behind the budget. All right. Members, that brings us to the addendum calendar, where you'll see item number 8 on today's calendar, and that's also by Leader Lamberth. That's House Bill 1663. We have a motion and a second. Sir, you're recognized, but before we do that, I think there is an amendment that needs to be filed on this piece of legislation. And just to make sure that we have the right code, it's going to be Amendment 013184. That's
Yes.
correct? We have
Yes,
a
sir, Mr.
motion
Chairman.
second on the amendment. We have a motion and a second on the amendment, and we'll try to get this one on, and then we'll let you have the floor for discussion or for description of the bill. So members, we have a motion and a second on, again, drafting code 013184, and that'll be on to House Bill 1663. In discussion. Hearing and seeing none, all in favor of Amendment 13184 on to House Bill 1663 signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We're back on the bill as amended. Leader, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And that amendment really fixes something that came out in testimony in the Criminal Justice Committee. There was a really a clerical error that was in the bill, but it's extremely important when you're talking about criminal sentencing that every single word, every single letter is exactly perfect. And in this particular instance, at range 3 sentence had been referenced, and range 2 is what is in the current statute. We intended to change nothing about any of the other ranges other than what I'm about to talk about. One of the most heinous crimes anyone could ever experience as a victim and survivor is as a child to be raped by an adult. It is unconscionable to know that we have monsters that live amongst our population here in Tennessee and throughout this country and world. I spent several years before I brought this bill. There's a U.S. Supreme Court case that says the death penalty cannot be utilized for folks that are convicted of child rape. That used to be the case, and the U.S. Supreme Court made a finding that said basically, amongst other things, that not enough states had this as a penalty, and so they didn't think any state should have it. I think that's y'all's decision. You're the voice of your districts. You get to decide in Tennessee what the penalty is for criminal actions that occur within the borders of this state. I think the current U.S. Supreme Court is much more 10th Amendment friendly. They're much more states' rights friendly, and I'm confident that this could be overturned. I can't guarantee it will, but I think it can be. And if the fear of losing their own life saves even one kid, the fear of a defendant losing their own life saves even one kid from being raped by some monster out there, because they know if they do that, they face the death penalty, then it's worth passing, in my humble opinion. And Mr. Chairman, I know this has other fiscal impact, but I've gotten hundreds of emails from survivors of child sexual abuse that have thanked me for bringing this bill. I really hope that later on it will come out of this committee. And I get it, it has other fiscal impact on it, but this is one of those bills that I hope would be important to us all. It's a very grave conversation to have when the state is discussing killing one of its own citizens. But the way I see it is, if that person has chosen to rape one of our innocent children in this state, then they have chosen to forfeit their own life. That's the bill, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you, Leader Lambert. Members, you've heard the description of House Bill 1663 as amended. Any discussion? All right. Hearing none and seeing none, of course, as the sponsors already alluded to, there is a cost associated with House Bill 1663. Certainly look forward to working with him to get this piece of legislation across the finish line. But it does have that fiscal impact, and so with that, we will have to place it behind the budget and reconsider it at a later date. So without objection, House Bill 1663 will be placed behind the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Thank you, Leader. All right, members, let's go back to item number 4 on our calendar. Item number 4 is House Bill 1629 by Chairman Subcommittee, and we have a request to roll House Bill 1629 1 week. So without objection, House Bill 1629 rolled 1 week. All right, that brings us to the end of our calendar. Members, is there any announcement that needs to be made? Seeing none, without objection, we stand adjourned. Without objection, we're adjourned.